So guys, before we get into the video I've got for you guys, let's take a look at some of the headlines. Yesterday, we saw the former chief of defense staff lamenting over terrorists, making laws in the north and also collecting levies. Like you can see here, it says ex-army chief laments terrorists now collect taxes, make laws for northern Nigeria communities. Now, take a look at today's headline. It says, Katsina community sells property to raise 20 million naira levy imposed by bandits to access farms. And this other headline here also said, residents in Shiroro local government, Niger State, say they pay 7 million naira to bandits just to live in their homes and farm in peace. Community leader Alhaji Yaya say that villages like Makera, Galapai, Chukuba and others are under bandits' control, with each married man contributing to the payment. He says security patrol has stopped, leaving locals to negotiate their safety directly with bandits groups. Residents plead for urgent action, government action to protect lives and property. So guys, I'm going to be showing you how Nigerians are lamenting over this latest development coming from northern Nigeria. Now see how some Nigerians have reacted to this. Like this person here said, the bandits are following the script. After securing the area and gaining full control, they will start imposing taxes that will perpetuate their criminal state and make it grow. This other person here say, now only for Southeast federal government they get power. The terrorists are daring the federal government, yet no action is taken. So shameful. And this person here said, that's good for them. The APC government they voted is now dealing with them indirectly. And this person here say, pay them today and you continue paying forever. It's a very big slap on the Nigerian government for keeping silent on this evil act. This person here said, this is a supposed country with a president, standing military, with police, plus all the armed forces. I wonder how we can convince foreigners that we are not a disgraced nation. How? And this person said, DSS is nowhere to be found, but they are quick to arrest a boy that wrote about coup, useless bunch. And this person finally said, this is beyond heartbreaking when citizens have to sell their hard-earned property just to farm on their own land. It's no longer insecurity, it's full-scale societal collapse. How did we get here? And why does it seem like those elected to protect us have gone silent? Nigeria must not normalize this tragedy. This is what Nigerians are saying. Now, I'm going to allow you to take a look at a video where a minister has come out to narrate a horrifying experience of Christian genocide. Take your time and watch these videos and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
But the pains is always there. The night Reverend Victor Nee preached in my church, and the next day he was burnt to death. We carry his corpse like that of a small baby. Victor Nee served in the Nigerian army and retired before going to the seminary. You can imagine, he's a very tall human being. He was the pastor of the Alheri Baptist Church in Gwankanawa, the English section, and he was burnt to death. The fact that when they went out checking for his corpse, no one could identify his corpse. What makes our people know that that was his corpse is his son, who saw the shoe near that small baby's corpse and said, but this is my father's shoe. Then they realize that, yeah, it's the corpse of that man. So we have dozens of stories like this to tell. But this is life. It has happened. What we need is to find a way out. And that's why some of us believe that the reason why we keep this conversation like this is because some people keep denying it. I'm shocked to hear in the interview you played words that were used by Sheikh Gumi and others. I expect Sheikh Gumi is supposed to be a stakeholder. Sheikh Gumi is supposed to be honest to himself. Sheikh Gumi is supposed to be honest to the Nigerian Christians in northern Nigeria and honest even to his Muslim colleagues, by ensuring that he speaks words that unite, words that will bring healing, but further exaggerating and twisting stories just make the whole matter continue to escalate. But for us as Christians, we know we've been killed. For us as Christians, we have buried so many. For us as Christians, we have suffered so much persecution. Look, when I begin this story, I always remind people that these killings of Christians didn't start now. So nobody should be confusing the story with this current government. Because I think people to play politics, they are doing it because Tinub. For me, I can even tell people that when Tinub came, we've even have some small relief, not complete, but at least a change, a shift. But in the past, I was burying people in hundreds. I was burying 50, 30 every week. And I remember that in 2000, we buried over 2,000 people during the Sharia crisis. In 2002, I buried over 300 people during the Miss World Beauty Pageant crisis. In 2006, Christians were killed in Bauchi and Borno, in Gombe and other places. We buried them because of other issues that we have no business with. And then when Boko Haram came up in 2009, because Nigeria needs to know this in perspective, that before 2009, most of the issues were Muslim killing Christians. We were not using the term genocide. We were not using the term terrorists until Boko Haram came and we started having. So Islamic fundamentalists have been killed. And when you look at the entire setup of the terrorists that have been tormenting Christians in northern Nigeria, they are promoting an Islamic ideology. They didn't come to defend Christians. So when people come to argue with us and tell us, no, these terrorists are killing Muslims, see, they only began to kill Muslims when they had killed Christians, and few Muslims who understand that this is not good testimony for their faith, started resisting them, then they killed them. But they have been focusing on killing Christians. Someone the other day in one of the medium came out and said, no, he has statistics where more Muslims have been killed than Christians. And I said, no, sir. I also have statistics that clearly shows that in the past years, more Christians have been killed. The fact is that I want to really cut the figure. Over 16,000 Christians between 2000 to 2000.
Hello, Reverend Hayab. Are you still with us?
Okay, we're hoping that we can reconnect. I mean, those are such a
terrible numbers, but there's still quite a lot to unpack. The federal government's response, and they've been on a diplomatic offensive. But we have Reverend Hayab back. Please, you can complete your thoughts.
Yeah, so the figures are there, and they are not what we need to be debating and lying about, because what we really need today in Nigeria is people coming out to admit the truth that, yes, people came and killed fellow citizens hiding under the name of our religion. And we have realized that our silence has been too long. Now we want to identify with our neighbors, identify with the Christians in Nigeria, and say nobody should harm them in the name of religion. Then we will start talking. But to tell us that, no, those things do not happen, and to further even lie that a social number of Muslims were killed, it just makes this whole look like competition. I came to report your son, or someone who came to present himself as a son, that he has burnt my house. Instead of commiserating and sympathizing with me, you are now telling me he also burnt my house. I think that's not the right way a parent or a responsible leader should do. Those who I'm happy that there are prominent Islamic leaders who are beginning to speak out now. And I say, look, we know when our malams, we are going out there and saying, kill them. They are infidels, they are kafiris, they are armies. This is where we find ourselves where we are. In one of the documents I read this morning, the document is saying that Gumi claimed that Christians used to have coffins that are empty and claim to be burying people. No, that is too bad. That shows that we have people in this country who do not care what is happening to their fellow citizens. And that's why government must sit up and wake up. So when you begin to accuse Trump for what he said, or Ted Cruz for his bill, you can see the kind of attitude we have around us.
Thank you so much, Reverend Hayab, for sharing your personal testimony. It's never easy talking about the stories. And you ended your submission by saying the government must sit up and respond to these issues. And sitting up is what they are doing, according to the Nigerian government. They have denied that there's a Christian genocide in Nigeria, and they said what we have is a security problem. And this has gone beyond the borders of Nigeria. Like you rightly said, Senator Ted Cruz, and the United States president has been very vocal on this. He said Christians in Nigeria are facing an existential crisis. Nigeria has been on a diplomatic offensive. We've had the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was on Piers Morgan's show 2 nights ago, and they've been doing rounds, and other senior government officials on International News Network. And what they often say, the line they say, is that Nigeria has a terrorism problem, which is true, and that, you know, Muslims are also victims of these violent extremist groups, that when you say it's a Christian problem, you're not acknowledging the other side of it, that Muslims are also human beings, that what we should be talking about now is the sanctity of all life. All life is important. Atheist, Christian, Muslim, all life is important, and that this has a way of, you know, festering more divisions, and what we should be talking about is dealing with our terrorism issues. How do you respond to that, Reverend?
Yeah, we all agree. You see, when this whole madness started, the terrorists were going after Christians, and that is what we want our neighbors to acknowledge. When they killed Oji in Borno, they didn't kill him because he's just a human being. They killed him because he's a Christian. He even made a very strong statement and say, go and tell my brothers I die well. I remember sharing this story of Oji last week, and when Mrs. Oji read about it, she reached out to me and said, thank God you remind the world how my husband died. My consolation is that what he said, tell my brothers I die well. Because myself, Pastor Ladi Thompson, and Papa Ayo, and Reverend Wale Adefarasi in Lagos have to find a way of moving Mrs. Oji to Lagos to stay there for her safety when her husband was killed. I remember telling Nigerians that I went to Ekot Ipene to bury Sylvester Osonobon, who was also killed. But Pastor Beatrice Yakubu was of Maiduguri. His brother was then the medical director of Maiduguri General Hospital. They buried him in Maiduguri and only took his wife away to just. You tell me that these people is just killing? No, they went out to the church. My church was burnt down, and many of the branches of the Baptist church were closed up. Cooking, EYN. The fact about it is that for people to know, the terrorists took over our Baptist seminary or college in Gombe to become their camp for many years. So people wouldn't tell us that. We understand that when they now couldn't find us to kill, they now started killing Muslims who were resisting their attitude.
All right.
It would seem that there's some sort of a disconnection again, and we hope that we can resolve that disconnection because there's another part of the conversation that I would love to explore with. Okay, right. Please go ahead, sir.
Everybody.
Yes, please go ahead with your thoughts, sir.
So people must know the difference between killing everybody and targeting Christians.
Okay.
In the past, in the last 7 years, when we were burying people left, right, and center in Magame, in other part of Southern Kaduna, and someone still wants to tell me, the whole thing is that because there has been confusion, saying that the killings is.
Okay.
I seem to have a constant network.
I would assume that there's a call coming in, but there is some interruption that's going on there, and we apologize for that. We hope we're able to resolve that clearly. He's detailed an account, a personal account of bodies he's had to bury as a reverend, and even he particularly mentioned the story of okay, welcome back, sir. Please go. Are you there with us now?
Yeah. So
okay. For the benefit of time, I think you've driven your point home that people should distinguish between the killings, the terrorist killings, and targeted attacks. And I want to, pick on something that you said. You explained and you gave an instance of what happened to Oji, who said to say to his brothers that he died well, and that you and a number of pastors had to move his wife to a safe location. One of the pastors you mentioned is Pastor Wale Adefarasin. And if I remember correctly, in the past week, he's been quoted as talking about this genocide matter. He says the West portrayal of the situation of Christians being under attack is sort of misleading. He says it's nothing new, it doesn't amount to a genocide. That the way the West are talking about it, it's as if a Christian steps on the street, his head will be blown off. I want you to react to his response and also talk about, we can't hear you, your audio is disconnected. I want you to react to that.
I don't know what went wrong, that he is making that denial now. But the truth about it, I think one of the mistakes going on is that people are thinking this matter is against Tinubu. No, sir. Tinubu can even be given some credit. This matter is about Nigeria. It's about the peace and unity of this country. Let's correct it for our country. Let's correct it for our children. Let's correct it for our future. But when we are politicizing it and bringing sentiment, whether those in leadership are our brothers or our friends, that's where we are. We will go.
Okay. I think the second part of the question I had was, how would you assess the response by leaders of the Christian faith, leaders of the Islam? I know you've already said about the Islamic faith that you would expect that they speak more and maybe denounce this act. But what about the Christian leaders? How would you rate the response so far? And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, as Christian leaders, we also suffer our misrepresentation. Sometimes, as I try to explain this, you will have others who, for some selfish reason, will twist whatever one is saying. So that's why many Christian leaders don't want to talk, so that they don't get twisted. You remember there was a night a story came out about Kumuyi, and when Kumuyi was not even around. So you can see everybody is afraid. We've seen people writing negative stories about Papa Adeboye and others. But the truth remains one. I think the CAN president has spoken. He emphasized that Christian genocide is true. And all of us are members of CAN. We are just another branch or another wing coming together as Northerners, but we are Nigerian. And we are the same people who have been crying. And we are not asking for anything too much. Government, stop the killing. Government, ensure that no Nigeria is victimized, no Nigeria is killed in this country or denied its right, whether right to education, whether right to build a place of worship, whether right to do anything. As I said in one medium recently, that you know that in northern Nigeria, it's not just about killing. Even in institutions, federal institutions, they won't allow us to have a church. The fact that our children in most of the universities, you can bring a BUK. There is a church that was born since 1987 or 92 in Congo, ABU here. We've not been able to rebuild that church up to today as I'm speaking to you. So what else? And we are trying to build moral leaders who will fear God. But you want your people to fear God and do what is right, then my children should be vagabond or my children should be wayward. What kind of life are we doing? And people are keeping quiet to those things. You come to ask for indigent form. Someone who came all the way from Borno can come to Kaduna or go to other states in the north and claim to be an indigent. But I, a Christian who is from that state, I will not be. And if my father make mistake and give me an English name, that disqualifies me. So someone will look at you on the face and say, there's no John here. How can there be no be John? On what ground? There was no John. Go to Katsina. A large number of Malumfashi, Funtua, Siga are Christians. The community that voted Masari to come over and be a member of the House of Reps and eventually become speaker are mostly Christians. So people shouldn't tell us we don't exist. So when we bear names that sound Bible, that's our offense. So these are the things we want to see corrected. Nigerians should have respect wherever they are. Religion is your personal thing. Follow your faith. I follow my faith, but all of us be obedient to the law of Nigeria and promote Nigeria and bring about the desired transformation we want to see in Nigeria. So I don't give excuse for any region. If there's any region that stop Muslims from building mosques, we should challenge them, let them stop. If there's any region that stop Muslims from being admitted, we should challenge them. But I'm speaking as a northerner. I only know my problem. If another problem is happening elsewhere, please come and tell us so that together we'll join hands and fight. But don't tell me that I shouldn't complain when things are not going on.
I'd like you to articulate for us, the reasons for your position. Perhaps you've had groups, appeal to the PFN in the past, talking about these concerns. What's the strength of your position?
Indeed, there's Christian genocide in Nigeria, and it's been going on for over 15 years now. Now, this administration inherited the challenge. So we're not holding them, we're not blaming them for it. They made it on ground. But we're holding them accountable for the life of every Nigerian, particularly in the church, to stop the genocide. When we're talking about genocide, as you talk of a place like Dogonaya, where one night 501 Christians were massacred. You talk of Benue State, on Christmas Day was invasion, hundreds were killed. There was mass funeral. I could not hold back my tears that day when I saw the lineup of coffins, and I said, we're not in active war, and innocent people are being killed simply for the offense of being a Christian. And that have been going on, all over the place. The mass killings are there, the individual killings are there in various states in the north. In one of the states in the north, one of the pastors, when they gave them quit notice, Boko Haram said they should leave the north. He refused to leave. He said, I'm not a criminal, I'm a Nigerian, I'm caring for the sheep. I cannot leave the people of God and go away. And they dealt with him very badly. What did they do? They watched when he went to preach somewhere, and they attacked his family. His wife just had a set of twins. Before the eyes of this woman, they slaughtered the 2 children like a ram. The woman went really crazy. And the church had to do something over a period of time to rehabilitate her. That had been going on. What about Leah Sharibu? Where is she? What about the Chibok case? Everybody knows that the Chibok community is a predominantly Christian community. The attack had been going on like that in Plateau, in Taraba, in Kaduna South, in Benue State, and it's going on unabated. In fact, since Donald Trump spoke about this thing, killings are still going on in Benue State. Now, we want the killings to stop. And if it is going to stop, we've got to be truthful about it. Jesus Christ said in John 8:32, the truth shall make you free. If you try to play politics with this matter, we will not get to the bottom of it. Let's identify it as what it is, genocide. Let the government take responsibility to do something about it. And we have it on record that specialists in security matters, even commissioned by the government, have submitted reports to past administration on this matter, and they refuse to act on it. We want ASOROC to stand up, Mr. President, to act on it. Mr. President is responsible for the life of every Nigerian, Christians, Muslims, whosoever they may be. And we are saying there is Christian genocide, and Mr. President should not deny it, should identify it. Take, for example, if South Africa in those days did not recognize that there was apartheid, apartheid would still be going on today. But because they identified it and they found a way out, and Mandela was so magnanimous, he didn't seek revenge. The church in Nigeria, we're not seeking revenge. No, but we want it to stop. We want the killings to stop. Whether individual killing, what about Deborah in Sokoto that was lynched while people were shouting Allahu Akbar and they burned her to death? All those things are going on. We want it to stop. That is the stand of the church. Not revenge, but an end to the mindless killings of Christians, both in mass and individually.
Now, you did say that reports had been submitted to government in the past. I'd like to follow up on that, but let's quickly expand the conversation and take it to Reverend Paramalam. The same question to you, but let me just put it in proper context now, this time around. Sometimes, or most of the time, when the issue of religious debate comes up, Nigeria is often misrepresented as Muslim North and Christian South, whereas we have both Muslims and Christians in the north. So amid these killings, is it possible that, the understanding that, Christians are targeted is just circumstantial, bearing in mind that Christians and Muslims sometimes dwell in the same communities in the north? Reverend Paramalam, that's for you.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. Again, I'm glad to be with you. I think that wrong narratives has a way of encouraging impunity. The North is not all Muslim. There are significant Christians, leading Christian voices who live in the North. And when I mean Christians, Christians are all over the North, whether it is Sokoto, Kanu, Jigawa, Kaduna, Borno, several. There are Christian communities. But what we have seen in the North Central region and the Middle Belt parts of Nigeria in the North is that the killings have been selected and targeted. No doubt Muslims are being killed in northwestern Nigeria, but Christians are also being killed in places like Katsina, Zamfara, and the rest of them. Now, what you have in the Middle Belt is targeted killings. I live here. I visit those places. I'm also involved in peace work, so I interact with all the stakeholders. You go to certain communities in Plateau, you would discover that Christian communities, most of the attacks and killings take place there. You go to Benue, it's the same scenario. Then you also have some Muslim settlements, Fulani settlements, but you don't have those mass amount or level of attacks in those places. So are Christians targeted? Yes. Have these targeted attacks been sustained? Yes. Let me give you an example. Just this month of November alone, 3 attacks have taken place in Chibok, the surrounding villages. On the 1st of November, a village was attacked in Chibok. That's Borno State, southern Borno, Christian dominated. And on the 10th, another village was attacked. And yesterday, 12th, the first village that was attacked on the 1st was re-attacked. 16 girls were kidnapped. Churches burned. Shops burned. Properties belonging to Christians burned. So are we talking about a distant occurrences taking place? No. It's something that's just taking place now. As late or as soon as yesterday, 12th. So that's the pattern. That's what we have. So it would not be correct to give the impression that we've listened to those arguments and the federal government knows better. The security people also know better. We are not saying that Muslims are not being killed, but I have always maintained that the fact that Muslims are killed, and we extend our sympathies to those families of Muslims that have lost their loved ones. But how does it in any way deny the targeted killings and attacks of Christians? 1. How does it deny the fact that Christians are persecuted? 3. How does it even deny the story of the genocide? We shouldn't be having these conversations on whether there is genocide or persecution against Christians or none. It is real. It is happening. I think that what needs to be done, and we need to join our hands and our hearts together, is for the government to actually work and act to stop this killing, particularly in North Central, in Borno, and also in other places like the Northwest. It's concerted actions to end those killings. I think that's what we should be arguing and pushing for, and not whether there's genocide or persecution or not. It is real from the examples that I've just given. And I've given those examples of Chibok, so we know that it's not just Chibok. What about Plateau State? Just last Friday, 12 people were killed. What about Benue? People were killed. What about Southern Kaduna? People were killed. So that's ongoing. This even in the midst of the debate. I think that as Nigerians, we need to seize the opportunity. We need to seize this moment. It's not about President Trump of America. It's about Nigerians. We can solve this problem internally if we choose to be honest, stand up, and have the political will to work together. And I mean we work together, both Christians and Muslims. I've read some of the releases by the Supreme Council of Islam denying the persecution and what have you. I think it's just complicating our problem in Nigeria. The Muslims need to own up and be honest, and let's work together with Christians to end these killings over Nigeria. over Nigerians, rather.
All right. Bishop, you mentioned the fact that there were even reports, which is the question Bukola was building on. Maybe if it's something you can share, what those reports are. And why do you feel that there is a sense of denial? I don't think the government is denying that there are killings. I think the government only is denying of a genocide. Why do you think that is?
Denying that there is genocide is not honest or sincere enough. It's being political. And we shouldn't be political with the blood of Nigerians. When lives are involved, we should deal with the truth. Now, when there was mass burial in Benue State, it was in the glare of the whole world. The media were there, local media, national media, it's all over the place. Now, reports have been submitted again and again, and I'm not going to go into details on that because they are security reports. On the tables of Mr. President, like we said, not this administration that caused it. When it started over 15 years ago, President Bola Tinub was not the president now, but he has inherited both the asset and the liability of Assault Villa. The liability, one of the major liabilities, is that there's targeted Christian killing, like my brother just said. There's genocide, it's in public glare, and the president should rise up and deal with it. Now, for us in the Christian community, we're not asking Donald Trump to come and invade Nigeria. That may make a bad situation worse. But we want to seize the president to seize this opportunity as an occasion to rise up and be very decisive in dealing with this matter. But denying that there is genocide does not win the trust of the Christian community that are at the receiving end. The government needs to win the trust of the church by agreeing that indeed there are genocide. Look at the report that have been submitted to you in the past and then act on it. Use the occasion of Donald Trump blowing the trumpet to pick the matter up and deal with it decisively. There is genocide in Nigeria. Reports have been submitted again and again. Assault Villa cannot deny that. So they have it on their table.
Bishop, so when you say action needed, I've heard a lot about the needed action. You're the leader, one of the leaders of the church. You're one of the patriarchs alive now. What is the action that do you think the government can take right now, under this moment when there's serious attention, that can rebuild the confidence and satisfy the Christian community to say, okay, government cares?
First is to identify the problem correctly. You don't call cancer a headache. No, you call it by its name. If it is properly diagnosed, then you cannot begin to find solution to the challenge. So government needs to be honest about this. And number two, government needs to reach out to the Christian community that we are hurting. I mean, we've just talked about a few now. The case of our girls being kidnapped, married away without the consent of their parents. It's happening across the north, and it's a targeted attack. I've had to deal with a lot of this. Christian girls. I've had to deal with a lot of this in Jigawa State, in Bauchi State, in Sokoto State. Christian girls being kidnapped, married away forcefully without the consent of their parents, and the parents will not be allowed to see the girls for years until they become mothers, and it become the norm. They are Nigerians. Their only offense is that they are Christians, and this should stop.
And in diagnosing it, Bishop, and yes, I'm going to take this also to Reverend Gideon, in diagnosing it, why are Christians targeted? And this is not discounting that Muslims are also being killed.
Definitely.
Why are Christians targeted?
Now, we do not deny that Muslims are being killed. But you see, it is the Islamic sect called Boko Haram and ISWAP that are behind this thing, and they have an agenda. Their agenda is to impose Sharia as the governance system of Nigeria. And a couple of years ago, they issued a quick notice to all Christians in the north that they should move out of the north.
A couple of days ago?
Years ago. I think that was 2010. And the government did not react. It was a public decree, according to them, that Christians should vacate the north and move to the south. We didn't hear the government speaking and rebuking them and dealing with it and arresting them for inciting confusion in the public. Now, that doesn't sound like government is caring for people that are hurt, people that are being killed, their relations that are mourning, the church that is crying. We have been talking about this for over 15 years. We've presented data, we presented reports, and it doesn't look like the government is identifying with us enough in the north to work with the church to stop the killings. We want the killings to stop. Now, if the government reaches out, I've heard you mention diplomatic, consultation and all of that. Let our government ask for the help of American government in terms of sharing intelligence, in terms of requesting for weapons, in terms of requesting for jets that it can use to deal with the people. Now, if Nigerian government had been able to resolve the problem, we'll have resolved it. The matter has been lingering for over 15 years. If for 15 years it is still going, like Brother Paramalam said, Dr. Malam said, even yesterday, 1st of November, 12th of November, killings are still going on. The government have not been able to deal with it for over 15 years. Ask for help from international partners that have the capability, the intelligence network to help us and let them come and help us.
To Reverend Paramalam, you are involved in peace work, and over the years, help us understand why Christians are targeted or the thinking of the aggressor.
Okay, thank you again, and I totally endorse what Bishop Wale Oke, our president, has shared. But let me just quickly say this. Christians are targeted because of the undeclared policy of Islamizing Nigeria. It's not that Muslims don't want Christians to live in Nigeria, but they want Christians to be subjugated to the absolute control of Islam. The introduction of Sharia points to that. Nobody is saying don't practice Sharia. You cannot impose Sharia on Christian communities and Christians who live in those places. I'm involved also in direct advocacy. I can tell a vivid graphic story of what happened to Deborah Samuel, the builder, and how she was burnt alive. Why was that so? How could Deborah Samuel be burnt alive in the security guard post of a tertiary institution in Nigeria, and it took hours before it happened? How do you subject a Christian girl, promising Christian girl, to Islamic laws under trumped-up charges of blasphemy? Simple. She was lynched. And that's one story of what several Christians suffer. So why is that so? When you study the Constitution of Nigeria, please, and I want to challenge that we engage this debate fully. How many times has Sharia been mentioned? Is Sharia mentioned in our Constitution? How many times is Muslim mentioned in our Constitution? Grand Qadis and the rest of it. Go back and look at that Constitution of 1999. How many times did they make reference to Christians, church, reverence, and the rest of it? So it's Nigeria an Islamic state? The answer is no. But is Nigeria indirectly imposing Islam on the rest of us? The answer is yes. Go to Christians who live in the far north. They will tell you their stories. Their jobs are not guaranteed. Their jobs are only guaranteed based on the goodwill that they receive from their Muslim leaders. Bishop mentioned about Christian girls that have been forcibly picked up and married off. Let me add, there are also Christian men or women who are picked up from their husband's house, and the next thing is their husbands will receive messages from the Sharia court that they are to appear or that their wives have been married off. We have documents, and like Bishop said, all those documents are available. So Christians are targeted. Now, I'm into peace building. So I believe in promoting peaceful coexistence between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria. What I'm simply saying is that it's impossible for peace to reign, sustainable peace to reign in Nigeria if there's no justice. So there are several issues bordering on justice that they need to be addressed. Whatever is good for the Muslims should also be good for Christians everywhere. Now, Christians actually do not get certificate of occupancy to build churches, or even when they build those churches, they don't get it. So their churches, in some places, in the Northwest in particular, they're basically rented. They are the will and caprices of the government. Right. Can something be done to change that? There's even a much more trickier issue, which is indigenship, that has also been at the part of triggering some of the attacks that you see in north-central Nigeria. So a Christian can live in Sokoto for as many years as they can live there, but they do not have the right to become indigenous of Sokoto state.
All right.
But a Muslim can come into Plateau State and live for a number of years. The same thing in Southern Kaduna, the same pattern, the same thing in Benue. They have the right to ask for funds to be indigenous. These are issues that come up in conversations, these conversations. So you hear them out. So you can see the injustice that is reigning. And before you realize that, it becomes a trigger and people are attacked and killed. But much more importantly is in Plateau State, Southern Kaduna State. It's not just that Christian communities are targeted and attacked. But some of those Christian communities, all the Christians have been chased out from their communities.
All right.
Some of those villages have been occupied.
Let's begin
and some of those places are being renamed.
All right. Let's begin to take last words now. Bishop, the U.S. is proposing military invasion, but the federal government is saying we've begun diplomatic engagements. How satisfactory is the position of the federal government about this, conversations?
Now, whatever needs to be done should be done to stop the killings. The life of every Nigerian is precious, and the targeted attack against the church should stop. If the president wants to ask for intelligence sharing, training in counterterrorism, or wherever they know that America has expertise, let them ask for it. For us, we do not want an invasion of America, invasion of Nigeria. We don't want it. We want Donald Trump to cooperate and work with our president and to hold our president accountable for stopping this targeted killing and kidnapping of our members. That's what we want. We don't want revenge, like I said. We want an end to killings. We want every Nigerian, whether Muslims or Christians, to be able to live freely, work freely, practice their religion freely, anywhere in Nigeria.
All right, Reverend Paramalam, 60 seconds as well. Bishop says the PFM doesn't want an invasion. What's the position of Christians in the North?
Christians in the North,
very
honestly, would like to see a complete end to these killings and the targeting of Christians for genocidal killings. We want to see an end to it. And I would also say that Donald Trump would have no business coming to Nigeria if Nigeria gets their acts together. So our president needs to work. It's not the narratives that will end the killings. It is proper action that will end the killings. And the federal government needs to work together with credible Christian leaders and Muslims to see these killings come to an end.
So guys, you have seen it for yourself. Let me know what you think about what is going on in Nigeria, a country where these terrorists are said to have taken over the entire nation. You can imagine to that point. And as it stands now, we don't even have anybody to speak for us. Nigerians are wondering how we got to where we are today as a country. You see that people in the north, they themselves, they are not finding life easy. You sitting in your house only for you to find out that you have to pay taxes for you to be able to live in your own house. Does it make sense? It doesn't. You have to pay taxes to the bandits. You have to do their bidding. You have to obey their rules and regulations. They impose laws on you. You have to follow. That tells you that this country is gone, honestly. So guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.